Hello, everyone, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Top 10. I am John Rocha.
And I am Matt Knost. This is the show that we do each and every week discussing our favorite movies based upon a topic, usually in regards to whatever movie is opening that weekend. But this one is a Boss Hog topic sent to us by Charles Clarke, which is movies set in a hotel. And we are excited about that. But how are you?
I'm good. I'm here at Star Wars Celebration as we're recording this. This is day one. I'm already fully fucking exhausted. Dude, I don't have the stamina anymore for these kinds of things. I don't. When I was younger, certainly, and CinemaCon was great, but I find that these days exhaust me after only 3 or 4 hours in ways that I used to be able to go like 8 to 10 hours in a convention, sitting in a room with thousands of people and what have you. So I'm happily in my hotel room recording this, relaxing and getting away from just the feeling of everyone around you. And I think it's because, like, dude, I work from home. So, like, I rarely am in a room with a lot of people. And so when I am, I think all my senses just get completely overwhelmed and overloaded. And I just want to run screaming out there. Dude, I almost left halfway through the panel. No bullshit. I almost left halfway through the panel because I'm like, I fucking can't stand it in here. But I had to, like, this is for the channel. I got to watch this stuff. So, but yeah, that's the life.
Yeah, basically it's the equivalent of when you would go to amusement parks as a kid and you didn't understand why your parents or grandparents wanted to sit so much.
Yeah, that's true.
But now when I go, there's nothing quite like you've been standing around all day and you get to sit down on a ride and you're like, oh, this feels so good. So good.
Oh, so nice. So nice.
Yeah. Now I got to walk to somewhere else and go stand around for but
half an hour. Yeah.
So we're not as people know, we emailed out, so we're not doing our regularly scheduled live show today, just because scheduling and time constraints. And
it's my fault. No, I'll take the hit over. I did not think ahead to let Matt know. Well, we knew about Star Wars Celebration, but I didn't understand the schedule, and I got asked to come to see a couple of the panel I'm just talking about. I got into, which was the big one of the weekend. So at last minute, so that affected the schedules and all of that. So you guys can blame me. So I apologize.
Well, it's also, we could have had him here for the live, but then we want to finish in a certain time because you have other obligations to get
tonight,
to.
Yes. Yeah.
So we wouldn't be able to interact with them if they had great comments and stuff. And
true.
We're working on a little bit of a time constraint on this.
Yeah.
And basically, we don't want to give them a short shrift on that. So that live show is just going to be on next week's, but you guys all have already gotten the email about it.
Yeah.
But we'll do shout outs then and all that stuff. So it's just 1 week delayed.
Calm down, for God's sake.
But we'll return to our regularly scheduled programming soon enough.
I'm trying to get comfortable on the floor here. How are you? How are things? How's your life? What's going
on? Good.
Yeah. Okay.
No complaints. Nothing really staggeringly new to discuss, basically.
Okay. Are you enjoying the NBA conference finals?
It's just one blowout after another, so it's not really all that engaging.
It's kind of been a letdown, Matt. It's a bit of a letdown, these two series. I'm really surprised by this.
I think it's the every other day.
Oh.
Just look at the Miami-Boston. It was a rock fight for 3 quarters until Boston started making shots. But before that, everybody looked tired. All the shots were falling short or way off, and nobody had legs. I think it's the other, which benefits a younger team.
Yeah,
so perhaps that's part of the NBA saying we'd like to get some of these new bloods to showcase them on a national stage. Could be that, but at the same time, the Warriors are the older team in the West, and they're going to win out more than likely.
Well, they've got a nice mix of younger guys, with their older guys, and they're more talented than the Mavericks at this point.
They just have more depth, and they've got more shooting prowess, and they can still play defense at a fairly high level. And then, but yeah, it's just been okay. They're going to win by 12, and this one's going to win by 20, and this one's going to be 18. And it's not as. We haven't had I'm lamenting Memphis not being in it.
The Memphis Golden State would have been a damn King Kong versus Godzilla, man. That would have been a battle all the way to the last game in the last series, maybe in Game 7. Like that, they were going to throw all kinds of defenses at Golden State and try to mess up their defense big time. Jean Morant said it himself. He's like, we would have took care of this team and been in the finals. So,
yep, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. You never know.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, hopefully it's just all leading up to an excellent finals. The calm before the actual storm.
Yeah, I think Celtics Warriors is going to be fun because I imagine that's what it's going to be. I think that's going to be a lot of fun to see those two teams.
I just don't see how
it.
the Heat climb back into this, and the
No.
Mavericks down 3-1 right now, but there was 3-0 previously, and no one's ever come back from that deficit to win 4 straight on the Warriors. That'd be pretty difficult.
Yeah, no, there's no way it's going to happen. So I don't anticipate that's going to happen. Overall.
No.
So there you go. Yeah.
But so what is Obi-Wan like, and does he smell like cinnamon? You know, who have you met? C-3PO is shiny in person.
No, I mean, look, the panel was great for what it was, for sure. I mean, you had Hayden Christensen coming back, getting to see that live. The pop he got was like something out of the Rock or Stone Cold in wrestling. It was insane, dude. He walked out and the place erupted. I mean, Ewan had walked out first, and it was a big applause for sure, big surprise, reaction. But then Hayden walks out, and the place was going insane. It's almost like someone broke the glass, like Steve Austin, and he came
give
walking
him the Empire's eyebrow. Just,
something. No, he just. No, I mean, Ewan just walked out, and first thing he said is "Hello there." So, which is of course the Obi-Wan line. But Hayden goes, "We're back." So that was really funny in a reaction. So it was cool. It was great. Got to see more of the Andor. Got to see a sneak peek of Mandalorian season 3, which they're not putting out onto the internet. But the capper was John Williams came out, and it was his 90th birthday, I guess, a few weeks ago. And he came out and conducted an orchestra to play the Obi-Wan Kenobi theme for the first time ever anywhere. So that was an awesome highlight to be in the room for that. And then he played the Indiana Jones theme song, and out came Harrison Ford to wish him a happy birthday and to kind of get all emotional talking about him and then announce.
Is that a Disney joint?
It's a Lucasfilm. Yeah, it's all connected.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Under the whole thing. Yeah.
I mean, the Sam Mendes picture is floating around the interwebs today.
Oh, yeah. Right.
The silhouetted Indy. Like, I hope it's great. I'm going to see it regardless of if it's people like it beforehand or not. So
yeah, we're going to see. They had no footage. It was just him walking out, and talking about it. And
that's fine.
It's kind of crazy though. Matt, it was kind of crazy. Just sitting there watching, like Harrison Ford, John Williams, Kathleen Kennedy. I mean, they were all together back in the 1980s, kind of, establishing themselves in these franchises like Star Wars and Indiana Jones. And so it's just very fascinating to see them all kind of coming back together now, still doing it in 2022. But, we're near the end there for John and probably Harrison at some point here, and we're recording this as Ray Liotta passed away at 67 years old, man. So
I'd assume Liotta's partied a little bit harder. That's just a guess. I don't know the man, and I have thoroughly enjoyed his work, and I hope
ditto.
Yeah, I hope it was an easy passing.
Me too. It was overnight. Apparently, he was in his sleep.
Yeah,
that's the way you want to go.
Yeah. But I'm just assuming Liotta liked to party. So 67, it's like, that's not a bad run, all things considered.
Oh, yeah. I'm good at 67. Oh,
yeah, that's speculative. I don't know anything.
Sure.
But yeah, I can't imagine how many more indies we're going to get. I mean, for Christ's sakes, Harrison's in his 70s.
Yeah.
And, Mission Impossibles are finally coming to an end because Tom is AARP level.
Tom is in his 60s. That's coming.
Yeah. Well, they've released that trailer for a movie that comes out a year from now, and it's part 1. Okay. Why did you put this out?
It's so weird.
I don't understand. Like, I realize you shot this during the pandemic, and then the release schedules got all screwed up, so everything got delayed. I get it, but anybody like now on pins and needles for a year? Actually, a little over because it comes out in the summer.
Yeah.
It's too long. Who gives a shit at this point?
I feel like they were incorrectly trying to take advantage of the Top Gun Maverick thing, which is going to be massive this weekend.
Yeah, possibly.
And I don't understand why you would split the stream, so to speak, by going, oh yeah, by the way, Tom's also coming out in this. And so I don't understand that. Let him have his flowers. Let him take a victory lap on Top Gun Maverick without another franchise coming in and trying that he's in and trying to kind of maybe take a little bit of that thunder and put it towards this as well. Because like you said, Matt, it's a year away, as excited as I was to see the trailer, that excitement dissipated almost quickly when you're thinking about the fact that it's a year away, so you're not going to get to see this for a while. So.
Yeah, I mean, it looked cool.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't. So what, am I going to be reliving this trailer for the next 6 months, and they're going to put out another trailer at that point?
Yeah.
And it's not until what, June or July of next year. So
yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah, but whatever.
Yeah. Hey, let me ask you something, man. We got some weird shit going on at the house. You're a homeowner. You've done this kind of stuff before.
Sure.
Lindley takes care. Listen, this is no surprise to anybody. Okay, I'm not going to take care of the outside of the house. That's my girlfriend loves to do that, or my partner is. She loves me to call her. She weeds. She takes care of the garden. She likes finding out who is in the garden, who isn't. Like, she's very cool with the lizards being there. She loves the lizards being there. It's cool. It's fine. But she was cleaning up the other day, and apparently she is a connoisseur of animal poop. Like, she knows what kind of animal by the poop it leaves, which is weird to me. I never even remotely want to be knowledgeable about that shit. But she thinks that we have raccoons, and possibly rats, because our next door neighbor has a fruit tree. And so she's come out in the mornings now recently and seeing like half-eaten, bitten pieces of fruit on our side of the fence because the branches hang over. So she put up some like bricks and stuff to kind of try to stop them, but maybe they're crawling across the fence, or they're going on his side, eating, coming, and then pooping on our side of things. So
entirely possible.
Yeah. Does that happen? Is that a thing? Yeah. So do we have to set up traps, or does the city do that?
No. The city can give two fucks about what's happening out in your backyard. Really? Yeah. Okay. So good luck with that.
Son of a bitch.
You can ask them, but they ain't going to do shit.
Hey, Tom, come over here. This guy wants us to catch his raccoon.
Yeah. Not going to fucking happen. Unless it's causing some sort of massive disturbance. I mean, it could be possums. It could be skunks.
Yeah.
Shit, it could be coyotes.
Jesus, I hope not.
Well, given the area you live in,
Yeah. True.
Entirely possible. Honestly, the easiest deterrent is human pee.
Really?
Yeah. So if you fill a spray bottle with piss and just spray it around the backyard,
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, they'll smell it and they'll be like, "Ooh, I don't know about this," and should ward them off for at least a time. But you're not going to have much success if they've got a honeypot like that. You could trim back the tree and try and keep the fruit off your side, but I'm guessing that's not going to do diddly.
Yeah, I don't know because I don't want to go and tell him, hey man, you need to cut. You know what? I've seen and heard of too many arguments between people who live next to each other over shit like that. So,
but you might be able to find synthetic, or if it's not like a coyote or something, you can buy coyote pee and then put that down if you would rather.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll smell it and be like, "Mom, I'm not fucking with this anymore," and they'll go away.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's on various urine.
Okay.
Is gonna work on some level. Otherwise, you could put out traps, but you'll kill this generation. You're not going to stop future.
Yeah.
Good point. Even with the pee thing, you're going to need to do this. I think you're just going to have to live with it, to be honest. The rats would be the only thing I'm concerned with, because the raccoons, so long as your trash cans are stored somewhere.
They're in the backyard. And I think the other night we heard a loud noise. Now I don't get out of bed. I don't. Unless it's in the house, I don't give a fuck about it. Let it do whatever it wants to do. I don't give a shit.
Same way.
Right? So as long as I'm not tearing up shit, I'm cool. But she freaked out, got me out of bed. She jumped out of bed, and then she opened the shade, and the raccoon looked right at her, like dead right at her.
Yep.
Looked right at her, and she screamed like crazy, and that thing took off, and we heard it just smash into the trash cans as it was taking off. So, I'm just kind of in the place of okay, how do we get rid of this situation? And I hope it's not rats, because, she was doing all kinds of study on the kind of poop and stuff, which I've never even
rat poop is easy to distinguish from
raccoon
poop.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, she was looking up on the internet, pictures of all this kind of stuff. But we've had houses in 3 or 4 houses in the overall complex that we've sometimes driven around or walked past that have the fumigation like completely covered the whole house. So I'm worried that we're on deck for that because I don't want to deal with that because I think that's in our lease that we would have to deal with that shit. Not
you would have to fumigate.
Yeah, or we have to deal with the vermin or
vermin. I can understand, but if you have termites or something, there's no fucking way that it's on you.
That's a whole other thing then. Okay.
Yeah.
So you only fumigate for termites, not rats.
For bug infestation, yeah.
Okay.
I've never heard of fumigation for rats. Could. I mean, you cut off their air, lock them into a chamber filled with poisonous gas is basically what you're doing with fumigation. I mean, that's what it is.
Yikes.
Yeah. Fair enough. There is that orange oil injection stuff. I don't know how effective it is if you want a more natural approach.
For a more natural approach.
Oh yeah, I think they mostly hate the scent and it drives them away.
Okay.
I believe, but I literally haven't had to deal with termites, thankfully.
Yeah.
My house is entirely made out of wood, so inevitably that shit is coming.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah, there's that. We've already talked to a pest guy, and because of the way the house is situated, we can never have fumigated. So orange oil or something like that is going to be our only option.
Really? Okay.
Just the neighbors, its property is too close, so we can't get a full tent in and whatever. I don't know. The guys basically was just like, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine you're going to find a reputable company that will. It's like, okay.
Fair point.
I don't need it now, but good to know. Something to think about for the future. Unfortunately.
All right. Well, I just wanted to run it by you because I know you know about this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
rat poop is easy. I mean, it's gonna be like the size of a Tic Tac or a little bit bigger, but the same shape, roughly. But they look like brown black Tic Tacs.
Okay.
You'll unmistakably see them, and you'll see also where they like to congregate. You can put traps down in those areas if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But then you're also gonna have to deal with dead rat carcasses. So
no thanks, man.
Yeah.
Fucking thanks. All right. Well, I just wanted to clarify it. I don't want to belabor the points. I know we got to get to our list. Anything else you want to talk about or get into, or shall we?
No, I don't think so. Raccoon, I think you're just going to have to deal with on that one, just as a heads up.
I'll have to catch him. All right.
Yeah, but then you got to release him somewhere. I don't think.
You can't just kill him.
I don't know if they make raccoon killing traps. Maybe they do.
Okay.
But I think it's a catch and release situation. But raccoons are pretty fucking smart, so.
Okay.
They'll probably make it just back to their neighborhood anyway. So.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah. As long as they're not in the trash, I think I'd be all right with it personally.
I don't hear them like rummaging through the trash.
Yeah. You would see it. Occasionally they'd be kicking out refuse.
Oh yeah. You'd see it around the thing.
Yeah. Right? You'd see it around. They'd see the fact that they've gotten into it. Not every time, but every once again, you're going to see trash out and be like, okay, raccoons got into the trash.
Well, then I got to say.
Or they can temp over the entire trash can.
But yeah. Good point. Yeah. Oh, well, anyway, people who don't have to deal with that are people who live in hotels. And that's our top 10 list. As Matt said earlier, the top 10 films set in a hotel. Thanks to Charles Clarke, Go Mountaineers, for recommending this list. So the way the show works is Matt and I go on our separate ways. This time, because of a topic from one of our patrons, we come up with our own top 10 list, come back, get together here. We don't tell each other what our lists are. Matt starts off, counts down his first three. I count down my first three. Then he counts down his next two. I count down my next two. We take a quick break, and then we get into our top fives, and we go one apiece. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then we put it together at the end. That's our list. So, Matt Knost, take it away.
All right. So I tried to find things where they use the hotel quite a bit.
Of course.
That was like, there are other ones where like, oh yeah, maybe part of the first act is in the hotel, but then they move on.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to count that one. But that was basically my only rule for this. So for 10, I've got Identity.
Oh yeah.
The John Cusack.
Yeah.
Serial killer-ish movie. How much can we say without not spoiling?
I mean, who's going to see Identity, man? I mean, this isn't one of those big films, so I feel like you can spoil it if you want.
You think so?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's Identity, man. No one's going to see that film. Come on. People don't even remember that fucking movie, man.
It's a guy with multiple personalities. So the movie's technically taking place in his mind as he's killing off the various personalities, but you don't get that reveal until the very end. Yeah. There's your big spoiler. That ruined the movie for you entirely.
Sorry, y'all. For the 5 of you that were going to watch it.
Yeah, from a movie from 20 something years ago.
Yeah. I think Beckinsale's in that, isn't she? I think she's one of the other people in there with him.
Is she?
I thought she
I mean,
was.
it's got a wide cast because there's 7 to 9 different identities
Right.
that he's going through, and it's a motel, and it's raining, and all this jazz and whatnot. But slowly but surely, one by one, get picked off.
Oh, my fault. It's Amanda Peet that's in this
Amanda
one.
Peet. That makes more sense.
Yeah, Ray Liotta, the late great Ray Liotta's in this. John Hawkes, Alfred Molina. It's a hell of a cast. John C. McGinley, Rebecca De Mornay.
It's an interesting idea.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a unique one at that. And it's a nice little whodunit until the final reveal of who's actually in charge of all this.
Right.
But it's a solid movie. I was surprised it didn't get more love.
Directed by James Mangold, who did Logan, and and he's doing the new one of the new Star Wars stuff that's coming out as well. Not Star Wars, the Indiana Jones film, as we were just talking about it. He's the one directing it. So early in his career as a director, this film.
What's weird, and you look at his filmography thereafter, and it kind of sticks out.
Yeah.
I mean, the deftness of touch is there, but the cinematography, what you come to expect from him in other movies, isn't as there much. But at the same time, the setting and with the constant rain and everything else kind of gives you some limitations as to what type of atmosphere you can really create.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, because I mean, Heavy was a good independent film, his first film, and then Copland was, I think, is fucking great. Girl Interrupted, what's her face, won the Best Actress Oscar, Angelina Jolie. Then those two back to back, Kate and Leopold and Identity. Those two kind of stick out as kind of these weird forays into something that doesn't.
He's branching out a little bit.
Yeah. But then Walk the Line right after Identity. That's like 2 years later. He starts moving into where he's going with 3:10 to Yuma. And
it gets into the mangled what you anticipate coming from him. Yeah.
You could argue he's a pretty consistent filmmaker, because I mean, Identity's not a bad film, as you said. It's actually an interesting film. Just not a lot of people saw it, So
I think it's definitely worthy of a watch. And if you're a Cusack fan at all, it's one on his list that you may not. It's just like the same time, roughly. It's probably a couple years later after Runaway Jury, and a few other Cusacks that weren't as high profile as some of the stuff that came right after Identity, or right before.
And by the way, Runaway Jury, quietly a damn good film. One of those
it's pretty good.
Damn good films.
Pretty good.
Okay, what do you got number 9, man?
9, I've got Hotel Rwanda.
Ooh, nice choice. That's my number 10, buddy boy.
I was solid movie
because it's not American, but I was like, no, it counts. We said hotel. We didn't say only American hotels. So yeah.
Go ahead. Stipulate about that. Cheadle in the lead, and it's about the Hutus and Tutsi conflict, the civil war that erupts.
Yeah.
And he's the manager of a hotel in the middle of this and tries to save I think it's the Tutsis from the ruling faction of Hutus. But even him and his wife, one is Hutu and one is Tutsi. So there's that turmoil there between them. But it's basically it's to see the humanity in the midst of chaos and the worst of us.
Yeah.
And someone striving to do what is right, regardless of what is, politically expedient or the heat of the moment type of thing. It's like, this doesn't make sense. We need to save as many people as we possibly can. And then like the weird hamstringing of certain delegations can't come in because it's kind of like Black Hawk Down. We can't fire on them until they fire on us. We are passive observers of this situation, even though there's a genocide happening.
Yeah.
And
go ahead. And Sophie Okonedo as his wife is fantastic in the film. This was kind of people getting to know who she is. She's a British actress. It was great to see her in the film. And Cheadle's such an interesting cat, man, because it's like he is, by all accounts, if he had a different personality, I think he might be seen in a different light. But he's the guy who wants to just get along with people, and so like he doesn't have that kind of hardcore personality necessarily. I mean, certainly in a couple of films like Devil in a Blue Dress, you can see that he's got that gear, but naturally he doesn't select films that are, lead their way to Don Cheadle's a badass. He's just so talented that he seems naturally empathetic. So he connects to these roles that have a little more depth and complexity and humanity to them. And certainly here in this film, he is so good. as Paul and what he goes through, and then the interactions with Joaquin Phoenix, which I think are really underappreciated in the film when he's dealing with him, and then Nick Nolte getting a few barbs in throughout the movie as well. It's a pretty powerful film, man. It's one of those films you see once, maybe twice, because it's pretty brutal and unsettling. And to think this is just one small story, within the litany of stories that have happened in Africa when it comes to genocide and the way they can kill or mutilate so many thousands of people. It's unsettling, really.
Yeah, it's what we're all capable of, and it's unfortunate when you see that.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunate is much too paltry and shallow a word to really encapsulate the depth of which, the disgust of humanity at times.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I saw it once and I was moved by it. I don't know that I'll see it again.
Yeah.
And it's nothing against the film itself. It's just like, it's a lot.
No, it is a lot. Okay. What's your number 8?
My number 8 is The Lobster.
Oh, that is my number 8. Yes.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Love this film.
I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Great chemistry with Farrell and Rachel Weisz.
Yes.
Yes. And a solid cast to boot. You got John C. Reilly is in this.
Olivia Colman.
Olivia Colman is in this.
Yeah.
It's a weird little movie too.
It is. That guy is a weird little director, because he did The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I thought was way the fuck on out there. It wasn't for me. But this one really worked. I mean, this idea of, you can't look at each other or you have to kind of keep the distance because love, it's kind of be arranged in a certain way. And some of the commentary they're making about relationships and connections and the propagating of the species and this idea that you become whatever your favorite animal is if you authentically don't find someone to be with, is such an interesting approach, but once you get past the fantastical, and it's so grounded that you kind of feel that it earns the fantastical side of it because it feels so realistic. Then you go on this journey with Weisz and Colin Farrell. Who's the other woman that's with them when they go on that journey that she ends up finding out that they're the one that they do have like this connection with each other?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I'd have to look it up.
I forget who it is, but yeah, this film can really put the zap in you. It's surprisingly good.
And it's like a discussion about what could be happiness. Does it have to be you need to find your soulmate type of thing, or is being a single individual okay?
Yeah.
And in this society, it most definitely is not.
Right.
I think it's Jessica Barden.
Okay.
That's Nosebleed Woman. Never mind.
And is lying to yourself a crime worthy of, death or being sent back to be an animal,
Let's see. There's the evil one. You're talking about the leader of the resistance woman?
Yeah, she kind of goes with them, right? I forget who it is. Because I don't think it's Olivia Colman. Oh, Leah Seydoux. Right. Oh no, she's the rebel leader, right? Leah Seydoux.
Yeah, she's the rebel leader. That's who I thought you were talking about. I just saw her on the
oh, I forgot Ben Wishaw's in this. He's in this as well.
Yeah, he's one of the lonely individuals in the hotel. Him, John C. Reilly.
Oh, it's her, Angeliki Papuli, Heartless Woman. I think that's her. Or is that the one that John C. Reilly is going after the whole time, who kind of is so rude?
Heartless Woman is the one, the one that's like cold and different that kills. Is it Colin Farrell's brother, the dog?
Right.
Yeah, that's and then sees that he starts to break down over that, so she realizes he's not as heartless as he's faking. It's like it's brutal, man.
It is brutal.
They keep, because their matchmaking system is you try and find some sort of commonality.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is through physical traits. So there's like the nosebleed woman, and then what's his name keeps punching himself in the nose to give himself nosebleeds. So they're like, huh? And then Rachel Weisz gets blinded.
Yeah.
So the movie closes on whether or not Colin Farrell is going to elect to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
as if that is somehow the ultimate path to people being compatible with one another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's not post-apocalyptic, but it's like one of those
feels like it.
near future movies. It's like one of
Yeah.
those near future movies that.
But the chemistry between Weiss and Farrell is really good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
And this is part of a string of movies for him where it's like, man, this dude is so good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. He's much more than just a handsome face. Like he brings depth and emotion to these characters.
Yeah, and he's one of those actors that you kind of had to go through all the stuff with so that you can really appreciate the reappreciation of him now. I mean, I was watching a little bit of the Batman because it's on HBO Max the other day. It was on, and I was just like enjoying him as the Penguin again. I mean, he's just so incredible in how he's embraced this like latter half of his career. And even The Gentleman, which I was on last week, I was watching that scene with him in was it the fish pie place or wherever he's at getting the win, and he's like going at it with the 4 little kids there who are trying to come after 4 teenagers who are trying to come after
another him. HBO Max movie just on HBO Max.
I guess. Like. Yeah. Listen, that's kind of becoming my new favorite streaming service over Netflix and over Disney Plus. I
can't deny I've fallen asleep to The Mummy and The Mummy Returns over the past like 5 nights.
Have you watched the George Carlin documentary?
No, I have not watced that yet.
Okay.
I fall asleep to things I've seen before. So if I make it 10 minutes, it doesn't matter. Or if I make it 30 minutes, whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whereas if I've never seen it, I stay awake.
Yeah, which is not what you want to do.
No, I want to fall asleep. So in due time.
Yeah. I've watched an hour and a half of the first part. It's really good. But yeah, maybe it's Ashley Jensen, the British woman that's in all of Ricky Gervais's movies or shows, rather. Maybe she's the one that goes with them because she's a bit more hardcore. I don't know. I don't remember who it was.
Oh, yeah. She's in Afterlife and
yes.
Yeah.
Which is very good.
Yeah, that show's actually really good.
Yeah. I
understand people's qualms with this last season, but it's like, I don't know how else you want this thing to end.
Yeah.
Fairy tale ending doesn't make sense to me. I'm glad they made the choice they did.
Mm-hmm.
It does wrap up for quite a few people, but at the same time, it's like, how are you supposed to land this bird?
Yeah. And the thing about Gervais is, for all his cynicism and sarcasm and questioning of humanity, he more often than not ends his films or TV shows in a more positive, uplifting way. And it's kind of surprising. And I think people get mad about it, but that's how he's built. He's built to question, but ultimately he also wants to believe that, a better world is possible. And like the end of Ghost Town is all about that as well, which I love that movie. Okay, so that was your 8, our 8s. My 10 then is what you said, right? What we had 10, Hotel Rwanda. So then my number 9 is Pretty Woman.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I can't deny this is still a good movie. It still holds up for what it is and of its time frame. Gere and Roberts have great chemistry. Elizondo is fantastic. And it is one of Roberts' best films. Top 5, I would still argue, in terms of performances. There's a genuine sweet authenticity to her. And, of course, she's got those scenes where, he slams the thing on her hand and she laughs. And also big mistake, big, huge, that kind of. And then the conversations with her and Laura San Giacomo, all of that. And then as she develops this relationship with Gere and really challenges him. And then that, kind of brutal scene, not brutal, but certainly unsettling scene with her and Jason Alexander, where Alexander essentially is trying to almost rape her to prove a point or whatever, because she's a prostitute who just got into being a prostitute. So, but there's a lot here to still enjoy, and Gary Marshall doing a great job directing the movie. So out of respect for that, I put it in my top 10, but lower on the list because it's not one I go back and watch a lot. I'm not a big Julia Roberts person. But I like it.
Yeah, it's on my side list, and I thought about putting it on, but 9 sounds about right. If we were doing a different type of list, I like this movie. I think it's really good. I think it still holds up, and honestly, this could be Gere's most charming, and that's a charming man.
1,000%. 1,000%.
You saw this and you're like, oh, that's a leading man. He just looks handsome and whatever, as staggering in, and then she jumps from Mystic Pizza, and she's been in some other things to becomes the biggest movie star in the world for what, like 4 years,
Yeah.
5 years, like where she is apex predator.
Her name still carries weight, man. I mean, they
Yeah.
just did an interview with her at Con
Hey, look,
earlier this
Gaslit
week.
is good. If you haven't watched that, I'm
No,
a
I
fan.
haven't. Well, she's good in that.
She's
Okay.
good, dude.
Okay.
Sean Penn is unrecognizable.
What?
It took me like 5 minutes of watching it, and then eventually I was said to Catherine, I was like, "Is that fucking Sean Penn?" And she's like, "Yep."
Wow.
Like, holy shit, I had no idea.
Okay, I guess I'll have to watch that. Son of a bitch. All right. All right. You know, like I said, I'm not a big Julia Roberts person, but I will watch it.
That's interesting. See Watergate from a different perspective.
Yeah. And you know, what was that? Charlie Wilson's War? She was good in that, so a different perspective.
Yeah, that movie's meh. I was expecting, I don't know, something better.
Yeah.
It was fine.
Fair enough.
It's got a, I mean, her, Tom Hanks, Phil Seymour Hoffman. You're like, holy shit, that's 3 for 3.
Yeah.
And then the final product is like, whatever.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, what's your 7, man?
My 7 is not on your list.
Okay.
Which is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
It is not.
It is not on your list.
Good call. Go ahead.
You're not a fan of it, and that's fine.
I'm not a fan of it.
It is a Terry Gilliam that I think succeeds really well because his mania just perfectly fits.
Yeah.
A movie of this nature. How in the world do you bring Hunter S. Thompson's lucid drug-fueled life to the silver screen? Well, we get Terry Gilliam. It's a good call. It's a good call. You know, he almost directed Sorcerer's Stone.
I did not know that. Holy shit.
That was J.K. Rowling's first choice.
What? Terry Gilliam?
And then they took Chris Columbus, and he was like, "Are you kidding me? Chris Columbus? You mean cookie cutter director? Have you seen that movie? It sucks." And you're like, "I know what you're saying, Chris. Or pardon me, Terry, but you're making this for kids."
Yeah. I mean, we don't trust you to make a film for kids. Like,
no.
Yeah.
Down the slide. Do I think he would make an interesting Wizarding World movie? Yes.
1,000%.
What, the very first one? No. No. Now that we're used to, if they brought him in for like they're sending the franchise or whatever in a new direction type of thing.
Yeah.
Or it turns into a Star Wars and now we just have like one-off stories for sure. To hang your hat on that series? Nah, probably not. But Fear and Loathing is, Thompson in essence, and then it's Johnny Depp and Benicio del Toro are going to Vegas to cover a motorcycle race that's in Vegas, but it literally has nothing to do with that. It's just about being in the throes of massive psychedelic drug use and other drugs on top of that, just psychoactive drugs, because they're taking peyote and acid and cocaine and a million other things. I can't even imagine. I don't understand how your heart can take that.
It's crazy.
Let alone your mind.
Yeah.
But to see this drug-fueled mania, and he recorded himself. So then, like at the end of it, he's like listening to the tape to figure out what the fuck happened over the past 48 hours or whatever the case is. But how many times do you think Hunter S. Thompson did that in his life?
Oh yeah, right.
We had to go back and check the tape and be like, I don't remember this. Oh yeah, I kind of remember that. And nope, this is all a blur to me. Because you ever seen like a breakdown of how he regulated his day towards the end? He kept a diary of, I wake up and I have this here and I do this here and I do this. So it's kind of like the Wolf of Wall Street.
Because he was so far gone?
No, just like I like to drink, but then to pep myself up, I do a little cocaine here. But then to bring myself down, I smoke a little pot. But then to bring myself back up, I do this. Right. And it's just like this ebb and flow all day long. And it's like DiCaprio at the beginning of Wolf of Wall Street talking about his drug use. I do this and then do this and then this to take the edge off and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That makes sense then at that point.
Sure. If you're abusing drugs that heavily that you've created a system for yourself, sure, I guess. But
put it together.
Yeah, the plot is inconsequential to just the mania of what's going on screen.
Yeah, it's one of those way out there films. It's not a film I wouldn't necessarily see. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I only ever saw it once. Once was enough for me at the time. But I remember the stuff in the car, the weird shit in the car. I remember the hotel room is just absolutely trashed, and the weird shit that goes on there. And I think they hit somebody or something, and so it's got a little
they're like fleeing, but at the same time, in each they're on peyote. So
yeah. So they're not
Depp
sure
thinks
if they've
that they're
actually
getting
done it.
attacked by bats, and Del Toro's off in his own little wonderland, and then they pick up Tobey Maguire, the hitchhiker.
Oh, that's right, Toby. I
yeah,
forgot
with
about
like
Toby.
blonde
That's
hair,
right.
just skittish as fuck, and then he runs off because they scare the ever living shit out of him.
Right, Toby. Shit. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so that was my
good choice.
7.
All right, what's your 6?
My 6 is probably going to be a punt, which is Grand Budapest.
Yes, it is a punt. It absolutely is a punt. So my 7 is which I was really surprised by, but I got to be honest with you, is Psycho.
That's a punt.
Okay, fair enough. And then my number 6 is Lost in Translation.
Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, I like this film. It still holds up. I watched it maybe 3 or 4 months ago, just randomly because it was on, and I was like, I haven't seen this in a while. I remember liking Scarlett in this movie. She's still kind of semi-young in the movie, and Bill Murray, of course, such an interesting part of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually worked for me. It still worked for me. The stuff with Ribisi and Anna Faris is even more biting, actually, when you kind of go back and watch it now, because we're all in the whole let's love everybody again. Let's not make fun of anybody anymore. Let's realize that it was a patriarchal society, which is why we're making fun of these people. Apparently, you're not allowed to hate anybody anymore. You're not allowed to criticize anybody's performances, anybody's acting, anybody's whatever. I mean, J-Lo's doing a documentary where she's essentially going to revamp her image as a diva, that somehow she wasn't a diva. And it was a male-dominated media that turned her into that, which is horseshit, because I have a number of female friends who worked on sets with her and have told me horrible stories about her. So it's just this whole thing. So when you go back and watch it now, because we're in this place now overall as a pop culture, or as a society rather, that it's even more biting to see how far they went in her making fun of Cameron Diaz and her making fun of Spike Jonze in those portrayals. And then you add the whole very interesting relationship between Bill Murray and Scarlett, which I don't know how the public would take it nowadays, a film like this, because, everyone's so hyper aware of age differences in casting.
See nowadays. If Bill makes it onto that set.
Yeah, well, that's fair too. That's another part of this too can be said. But yeah, so it still holds up. And I think Coppola does a fantastic job directing this film, and I'm always surprised that she doesn't come up in people's choices for any of the superhero films. I mean, I think that would be the most incredible thing, to have the daughter of the man who's complained about these films direct a superhero film that could be, very feminist, very pro-woman, and pick a character out of either side, DC or Marvel or independent comics, and kind of do something interesting with it. I think it would be fascinating to see her take on something like that. But maybe she feels the same way her father does.
I assume so. She makes smaller movies, like more quiet movies. I'm not saying the movies aren't, important or anything like that.
No, you're right. Because one of the films that almost made it on my list, bro, was Somewhere. I like that Stephen Dorff film that she directed.
It's Chateau Marmont.
Yeah, and
which I've never been to. Have you?
Once working, I was hired to play a 1940s Hollywood director with Shannon, one of the nerd pals.
Sure.
And Kalinowski.
Dork dudes?
The dork dudes, yeah, one of the dork dudes.
Yep.
And Kalinowski. And Kalinowski was a photographer. So he wore like the hat with the press pass inside of the hat brim and shit. And Shannon was, I think he was a barker of some kind. So the three of us would work this old 1940s Hollywood thing. It was for the Last Tycoon miniseries on Amazon Prime. That was the only time I've ever been there. I never have stayed there or gotten dinner there. In the 20 years I lived in LA, I never once went and did anything there, except that. So
yeah, never once. I know people that used to go there.
Yeah,
a decent amount, like go to the bar or whatever. I don't even know what the fuck's there. Like I've never been.
Yeah,
I've walked past it about 7 billion times.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And driven past I don't know how many times, but never been in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so, Lost in Translation.
Yeah, it's a good one. If you guys haven't seen it in a bit, give it a shot again, and we appreciate Sofia Coppola. All right, let's take a break, Matt. Yeah.
Yep. Let's take a quick break, hear this word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back right after that with our top fives. All right, there we are.
Ew.
Back into this. We'll get into our top five. My number 5 is Ocean's 11.
Great choice, but a slight punt. A slight punt, I would say.
Okay, fair enough.
My number 5 is One Night in Miami.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Regina King film. That all
Sure.
takes place in a hotel/motel. And this film was nominated for Best Picture, I think, and fantastic performances all around. Aldous Hodge and what have you. Huh? Was it not? Was it not nominated for Best Picture? Because I know that I don't think she was nominated for Best Director, but I thought the film was nominated. Okay. But yeah, it's Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, and who's the fourth? Who's the fourth person in that quadruple? Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Malcolm X is Jackie Wilson. That's right. So all four of them are in there, and just having a conversation about. Yeah, no, it is Malcolm. Sorry, Malcolm's in there. So Malcolm, Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, or Cassius Clay, and Jim Brown all in the hotel room talking about, from what's going on in the civil rights movement, what's going on in the lives as black men in America in the 1960s, and what is this fight here that Cassius Clay, I think, just had defeating Sonny Liston. It changes everything, because this is also where Malcolm and Muhammad Ali start to separate from each other because of Muhammad Ali going with Elijah Muhammad over Malcolm. And so it's kind of the snapshot in time. And of course, Malcolm dies a year later, almost to the day of this setting of the film, because he died in the Audubon Ballroom. I think it's February 28th as opposed to February 25th. So it's an interesting time. And then Sam Cooke, of course, being seen as kind of a sellout because he's making white people music. Even though, he's steeped in gospel and religion and the exploration of that, like what is a good black guy, what is not a good black guy, what is seen as a sellout, what is seen, it's such an exploration of the complexity of black manhood in America. And it's fascinating. It's a great script. And Regina does a phenomenal job directing this thing. And I think there's so much to take out of this film on multiple rewatches. And I was just left really impressed by the film. Overall, I didn't think it was the best picture of that year, but I thought it certainly deserved a nomination. So am I off? Am I wrong? Was it not nominated?
It was not nominated.
Oh, damn. Was Regina nominated?
No. Best supporting, screenplay, best supporting actor, screenplay, and original song.
Wow. What the fuck? Well, screenplay at least by Kemp Powers. That's not bad. But that's a surprise that nothing else got. Damn, that's a surprise, dude. I thought for sure it got nominated for one of those things. Because I mean, it's 98% on Rotten Tomatoes out of 333 reviews. 98%. That is tough.
Yeah.
So it's just surprising that it didn't get a Best Picture nomination or Best Director nomination for Regina. But all right, that's my number 5. What's your 4?
My 4 is the punt from you, Psycho.
Oh yeah. All right, go ahead, man.
A Hitchcock classic.
I like the Hitchcock. I like the.
Yeah. Well, it's about time we talked about him. I'm not exactly sure what you say about Psycho that people that like movies don't already know about Psycho.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, if you've never even seen it, you probably know the ending.
Oh, yeah, of course.
That's
parodied so much.
Yeah, that's how ubiquitous it is. Although it doesn't get parodied as much anymore, obviously.
Fair. We've got
because it just doesn't live in the echelon of the zeitgeist as it once did.
Yeah, true. Very true.
But yeah, just it's set in a motel, and weary travelers come in and they deal with this young guy, and this young guy's got some secrets, baby.
Yeah.
He's got some secrets. Spooky to say the least. Maybe you need to get out of the house more, John. This could happen to you. You need to go to more cons, it sounds like.
No,
you show up and you're just dressed like Lindley one day. Oh my God. It's you and all the raccoons, and they've moved in. And you guys have built a life together.
I'm just a taxidermist on the side.
That's what you tell people. That's why you have all the animals. But it's really just who you want to deal with at this point. I think it's like it's got like weird first. I think this is the first movie with the toilet flushing.
Oh, really? I didn't
Something
know
stupid like that.
That's funny, dude. I didn't know that.
Well, you hear it and you're like, why wouldn't they just show that? But I guess that makes sense on some level, considering how prudish and how new it was. Well, we can't show that. I mean, people slept in separate beds on television for how long?
Yeah, true.
Which I can't even imagine that as a thing in real life. Like
I Love Lucy. Yeah, and a number of films. Yeah, it's true. I can't remember. Was it the Brady Bunch where they finally slept in the same bed? I can't remember what show it was that kind of broke that thing. So yeah.
And ironically, the leads in that wouldn't have been compatible as a married couple.
That's true. But Brady in real life was actually gay. That's a great point.
But just really, like when you see old television and whatnot, you're like, is this a thing that people did? Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah. Seems odd.
Yeah. Considering like, every story you hear from the parents of those individuals or whatever are coming up, like you lived through the Great Depression and World War II. You're telling me that you have enough money to buy 2 beds? 2 beds.
Yeah, it's a good point.
But anyway, I mean, Psycho's a classic.
Yeah.
And I think it, by and large, holds up. It's not my favorite Hitchcock, but it's one of the top tier for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Perkins does a great job. And it, we were, some people may look back on old films and was like, oh, dated, or Perkins is still quite chilling in that movie. Mm-hmm. He's very authentic, and believable in when the twists start to happen and the turns. And Hitchcock's direction, I mean, that I always think of Martin Balsam's death in that movie when he's like slammed in the head from the staircase. It's such a surprise. The speed with which Perkins comes out dressed as his mom to kind of hit him and shock him. And I mean, it's a more brutal death, in my opinion, than the death of Janet Leigh in the movie, because we get to witness the dude's shock that it's him. Whereas Janet Leigh doesn't know what's happening. She's being stabbed by someone she can't quite see. But with Martin Balsam, he's just so calmly looking around. It's not a big deal. You know what? He doesn't see anything. It's fine. He could, what's his face could have left him. Norman could have let him leave the house, no problem. Oh shit! And they wouldn't have been any.
Ooh, headphones down.
But sorry about that. Is my phone? Am I good now or no?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay. But like, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But then he comes right out and just hits him, and we see the look of shock and horror because he sees that everybody that it was right, and that it is him dressed as a woman, and he's not going to be able to tell anybody about it because he's just been killed. And so it's just like, it's so great to see that. So there are some moments that still hold up in that film due to the performances and the direction of Hitchcock, for sure.
Yeah, and go see the shot for shot remake with Vince Vaughn, because that's totally worth it.
Yeah,
why you would ever do that in a million years? Let's do a shot for shot, even though it's not technically. I think they change a few things here and there.
Yeah,
not exactly a shot for shot, but still, is a weird choice. Did I watch it? Yes.
Yeah.
And
I thought Vaughn was fine. But the film itself.
Yeah, I didn't mind that casting, and it showed range from him, and he was throwing out like a few different projects like that. There was that one movie with Janine Garoppolo. What was that? Clay Pigeons?
Clay Pigeons. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, a few in there was like, all right, this is interesting to see different things from him.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, man. He could have range if he wanted to have range. It's just not his. It's not his desire. It's not his impetus to do it.
I think the paychecks came from another direction.
Well, that too. Yeah. I think the lifestyle he wanted to have coincided with the paychecks that were.
Yeah. You want to be a movie star? Well,
yeah.
You're gonna have to make these types of movies.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So then my number 4 is the comedy classic Some Like It Hot.
Yeah. How much is in the hotel? I was racking my brain. I remember more on the yacht than I do
on
the
yacht's
hotel.
The yacht's only at the end, the last 15 minutes of the film. Yeah, a lot of it is because, I mean, obviously they get on the train, they have to get to the hotel. But once they get to the hotel, there's a lot that happens in the hotel.
Yeah, there's the mobster stuff with the hotel.
Yes. And also the stuff out on the beach. They're essentially right outside the hotel.
Yeah, you're
So it's
probably
still
right.
kind of all works. So, but for me, that's what I think of when I think of the movie. And I like it's such a great film with Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, and
Yeah.
that's one of those ones that still holds up in terms of old
Undoubtedly,
comedies, right?
it definitely does.
Yeah. And Marilyn Monroe, who's fantastic in the film, and all of it. Listen. You can try to play Marilyn Monroe. No one is ever going to match Marilyn Monroe. I don't care what you fucking do. That woman is just next level, impossible to touch sexuality in one body. And all these actresses have tried to play her. No one has ever come close. And when you watch a movie like this, you understand why no one can come close. She's just a unique energy that no one will ever be able to replicate fully. No one.
Well,
Especially nowadays, in the days of wayfish actresses. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's also too like no one at that time knew anything about her backstory.
Yeah, true. Very true.
So she was just this. So when we see it, we get this fully formed Marilyn, and we have no point of reference for that.
Yeah.
Unlike the Elvis thing that's coming, out. He existed in pop culture for so long that you knew about the fried banana sandwiches and all that stuff. Like you knew about some of his background, whereas Marilyn was just this kind of enigma. She was a sex symbol, and she slept with the president, but I don't know what she was like. I've seen the movies done about her. There was the HBO one.
Yeah, right, with Ashley Judd.
Judd. Was that Norma Jean?
Introducing Norma Jean and Marilyn. Norma Jean and Maryland, Maryland.
Which is all right. It's not bad.
For a TV movie, it wasn't bad. Absolutely.
And then there was the Michelle Williams one.
Yeah, My Week with Marilyn.
Yeah. I don't know. I think because she's such a mystery, it's really hard to pull that character off.
Well, also I think physically, bro. Like Christina Hendricks was the closest thing we've ever had physically to Marilyn Monroe. She doesn't have that same energy as Marilyn, but certainly there were times in Mad Men where she kind of came close because she's a gorgeous, gorgeous woman and voluptuous. But she's the closest thing we've ever had. And even she's not a pale comparison to Marilyn, even though she's an outstanding actress in her own right. It's just not quite, the same kind of thing. So, but also Jack Lemmon is an anomaly and Tony Curtis is an anomaly. The film is full of incredible actors that are just kind of at the top of their game, and Billy Wilder at the top of his game as a director as well.
Yeah.
Bringing them all together to have some very funny scenes.
And a cross-dressing movie in 1950, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like, doesn't make a lot of sense, the fact that this was A, greenlit, B, they got the cast they did with the director attached, and then got it made, and the public was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But it's good. It's definitely a movie from that era that I think more than holds up.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What's your 3?
My 3 is another one you probably don't have, which is 1408.
Oh, wow. Really?
The Sam Jackson.
Wow. Cusack's making your list twice. Interesting.
Well, 10 is still like, now that you bring up Something Like It Hot, maybe Something Like It Hot should make it onto my list. But in my head, I think of the yacht first and foremost.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So I was like, they're on the yacht like a ton in that, aren't they? But 1408, like it's a Stephen King short story. Let's just make Stephen King short stories as opposed to actual novels.
Right.
Outside of it, I can't, it's been difficult to pull these 2,000-page books and get a 2-hour movie out of it.
Right.
Whereas the short story, so Cusack plays an investigator of paranormal activity. And he's not really that. He's a journalist who's a skeptic and goes to like various hotels and locations that, we've got a haunted this, or we have a spirit that lives, and he's just there to document it, but to be a skeptic. And he goes to whatever hotel it is, I don't remember. And Sam Jackson is the hotel manager, and he tries to stop him from going into it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, Cusack, being the stubborn skeptic that he is, chooses to do it. But really, the movie is about confronting your past and trying to move forward from previous trauma, dealing with those issues, and either you're going to grow and come out of it, or you're going to die.
Wow.
And that's what the room comes to symbolize.
Okay.
You can either live and die in the trauma, or you can escape. Right. But you have to face it and recognize what is causing this pain. And it's also wrapped up in like there's horror elements in it, but there's not like horror characters. It's not like but like a painting comes to life and it's of the sea swells. And then all of a sudden there's all this wind and water rushing in and the room turns to like this freezing temperature. And there's a person across the way that he thinks might be able to save them, but that's a ruse. And there's also this great little device of they've had, I can't remember how many people die within the first hour.
Yeah.
And after being in there for a couple minutes, this digital clock switches to a 60-minute and then it starts counting down.
Oh,
so
wow.
the mania increases as the countdown, moves on.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a really good movie.
Okay.
But if you look at it like that, just having to deal with everything that we have to deal with.
Yeah.
And it's got a nice ending. I think an honest ending to it.
Mm-hmm.
With a nice king little supernatural-ish feel to it. But it's another short story of his that works really well.
I've always resisted the movie. The trailers were so kind of out there that I was like, do I really want to? I guess writer films don't really appeal to me. I'll be honest with you. And I'm discovering that as I was doing this list, because Barton Fink didn't make my list. Spoiler alert. Anything with writers, I don't find myself necessarily compelled. I mean, Misery is a whole other animal because that's more about fandom.
Sure.
But what was the other? Secret Window? Like I didn't,
the Johnny Depp?
Yeah, the one with Torturo and him.
Yeah,
I was like,
that movie's not good.
Yeah, or The Dark Half, which I think is also Stephen King one, the Timothy Hutton, I think, where he's playing like a version of Stephen.
I don't even know that one.
Oh yeah. He wrote this book about like horror about like this other part of him, and it was kind of to get through writer's block, I think. And Hutton plays the guy, and they made a movie out of it. It just wasn't that good. But yeah, I don't have a proclivity for writer films, so maybe that's why 1408 hasn't stood out to me. But you haven't talked about it a lot, but you have mentioned it every once in a while.
Yeah, it's come up on a few lists.
Yeah, and I've always been like, I should watch this thing. So
it's a good movie.
I'll finally do it.
Maybe what was your on HBO Max?
It might be. You know what?
Be.
Don't joke. It might be on HBO Max.
Look, I'll look it up right now. Go ahead. What's your 3?
What was your 5 again? I thought we skipped
Oceans.
What? Oh yeah, right. No, I'm sorry. That's the point. Yes, Ocean's 11. That's my number 3. Sorry. I forgot. I thought we'd skipped over it on accident. Yes, Ocean's 11. We just, as we're recording this, both parts will have come out on the Cinephiles. We kind of did it as a kind of brainwashing after we had been intensely doing Spike Lee movies for 2.5 months. So we wanted to do something a little more lighthearted we could have fun with, and Ocean's 11 popped up, and we were like, yeah, let's do it. That is such a fun film, man. And really, you could have gone Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 13. They're both, in essence, in a hotel. But 11 is the choice because that is the original in terms of that series. And it's great. And Clooney's great. Brad Pitt is great. Bernie Mac is just coming into his own. You still have a young Casey Affleck, a young Matt Damon, who's just about to turn that corner into movie stardom. Scott Conn, he certainly became good doing stuff on Hawaii Five-0 and whatever. But and then you've got the great Carl Reiner, the great Elliot Gould, Andy Garcia in one of the last gasps where he's actually kind of chilling as a villain. And even Julia Roberts has some nice moments in the film. And it's kind of a brilliant con, and it's a cool movie. It's just a cool movie. And when you watch it, you can't help but feel cool if you have any ability to feel that way when you watch that movie.
To see this magnitude of various stars kind of come together and suppress their overall ego is really, it's unlike anything else you're going to see within movies, because you don't get this magnitude of star power all agree to be on. Otherwise you assume, boy, the budget on this must be massive.
Yeah.
And yet they all, I assume, had to take a pay cut. Maybe they got back end points.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Just to make it all worthwhile and feasible to actually pull this thing off.
Sure.
But the camaraderie really comes across the screen. You feel like all these individuals get along and are friendly with one another. So it makes you enjoy it all that much more.
Yeah.
You're like, that seems like they were having fun on set. That's one that I'd like to be on. Shit, this one or the original Ocean's 11. I'd like to be on set for either.
Oh yeah. I mean, the original is a terrible film, but the
stories
The story's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the story's about, actually about,
Well, because
being
they
on
would
set.
go and perform in Vegas,
Yeah.
and then as soon as they got done performing, then they go shoot the movie at like 2 a.m. And this is also where I think this is the genesis of Sinatra
Yeah.
not willing to take 2 takes because you're only paying me for 1 movie.
One take Sinatra. Absolutely. That's all you get.
As evidenced by this film, he definitely pulled that off.
Yeah. And you don't get you get a director who's not going to question that because, he's just happy to have the job. But yeah, I mean, I just saw a documentary on Dean Martin, which is on TCM. It's called The King of Cool. It's pretty fucking good. And there's sections where they talk about the Ocean's 11 times. And it's just fascinating to think about, like, any bunch of guys getting away that are that level of known, getting away with the stuff they got away with back then.
Oh, yeah.
Because you could never do that now.
No.
People would videotape you or, record you. Oh my God, you could never get away with that now. But yeah.
It's great. It's like in The Crown, when she finds out that her father has passed away in season 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they tell the reporters basically, hey guys, not now. You're not putting this in their paper.
Right.
And all the reporters went, yep, you're right. This is not something we should document and give to the people. This is a private moment for you. Can you imagine that now? To be like, get the fuck out of here. This is going to sell more papers or get more clicks than anything.
Yeah.
Than your official announcement as to your feelings of the passing of your father. If we can catch you in the moment, that's worth, 100-fold.
Oh yeah. 1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah, it was a different time. It's a different time. Plus, Sinatra being mob connected, and that's a mob town at that point.
Oh yeah. It's huge.
I'm sure they were allowed to do whatever in the world they wanted to do at any given time, by and large.
That's a good point. Yeah, and this is Soderbergh at the top of his game as well as a director. Because everything is so smooth. And Terry Griffin, I think, is the writer of this one, and he's great. His script is fantastic. Or is it Ted Griffin? But his script is fantastic in this film. As we were analyzing it for the Cinephiles, like breaking it down scene by scene, just incredible to see what he was able to do with these cool people and have them have like legitimate interactions and also find new ways to kind of showcase other layers or other shades of who they are as actors in this movie as it goes along. But the number one thing, as you mentioned, Matt, is the chemistry all these guys have. There's no ego here, and you sense that right off the bat, that everyone understands who the pecking order, and they accept the pecking order, and they're happy with it. It works so well. All right, what's your number 2, man?
My 2 is the movie you just shit all over.
The original Ocean's 11.
No, Barton Fink.
Oh yeah, knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. It's not my movie.
Look, it's an early Coens. So this is right before Miller's Crossing. And they actually did this because they had hit a writer's block in Miller's Crossing.
Okay.
So they took time away from that and banged this out in like a couple weeks. The script for it
shows.
And went off and this is the thing is, if you're trying to find some sort of meaning in this, you're not going to find it.
But Barton Fink came out after Miller's. So Barton Fink was.
Yeah, I think they maybe finished the script before.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but I believe you're right.
Until after Miller's. Okay.
Barton Fink's like 91 or 92.
91. Yeah, and Miller's is 90. So yeah. Okay.
But it's Turturro. So Turturro's a playwright that gets hired by a studio, and they're paying him an ungodly sum of money to come out here and work on pictures.
Yeah.
And they thrust him into writing a movie that he knows nothing of, so he has writer's block.
It's pro wrestling, isn't it? A pro wrestling movie.
It's a wrestling picture or something like that. And so he's struggling to come up with this. And then he ends up befriending a woman who is the assistant of John Mulaney. Not John Mulaney, Mahoney.
John, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Who he's a writer who's a drunk.
Right.
And does some screenwriting on his own, but like a writer in this world of some renown who got into writing for pictures. Mm-hmm. And so she ends up dead, and then he needs to deal with this, and then Goodman, who is his neighbor in this hotel, comes over and helps him deal with it, and then there's the flip on who Goodman's character is.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, honestly, I've watched this numerous times, and I couldn't tell you what the, like, 1408, I get it by the end, be like, okay, dealing with the trauma and all that. Barton Fink, it still makes me question as to what the hell I'm watching, and yet I still watch it. And it's a strange ability the Coens have, you know.
Yeah.
It's rare for me when they have a miss.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Like Hail Caesar, I've seen now a second time, and I still don't get it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't enthrall me and suck me back in like Barton Fink does.
Fair enough.
Whereas Barton Fink, I would go back and watch and be like, okay, so what am I missing? So does John Goodman represent the devil in this? And it's the worst of Turturro? Well, that doesn't make sense. Okay, but then there's the visual of him coming down the hallway and hell erupting around him. Maybe.
I mean, because Blood Simple is great. Raising Arizona, good. Miller's Crossing is good. I'm not a Barton Fink. I can even defend Hudsucker Proxy. I liked Hudsucker Proxy.
That one loses me.
Fargo,
more than
Lebowski. Oh, brother, man, it wasn't there. Good. I liked Intolerable Cruelty. Lady Killers was maybe the one that I didn't like until Hail Caesar. And inside Llewyn Davis, I can objectively say that is an interesting film. I personally don't go back and watch it. I really hate that fucking ending. And he's not a nice guy. Like, he's not someone I want to cheer for.
He's not likable.
Not likable. So at some point you lose me in the film because I don't care what happens to him. Would you have unlikable protagonists, and I would still care what happens to him.
Just as a heads up, you've been frozen since you started on this the Coens. Once
Can
you went to
hear
like
me
their filmography. I can hear you, but now the audio is starting to sound a little strange there too.
Because it looks like I'm fine on my end. So should I am I still having issues?
You're still frozen. You sound fine.
Okay. Let me go back out and I'll come back in.
Okay. Yeah, within that he just listed, there's only a couple in there. Inside Llewyn Davis, Lady Killers, Hudsucker Proxy, and A Serious Man I think is okay.
Yeah, Serious Man is good. How am I now? Am I still frozen or am I?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. Yeah.
All the others though, I'm a fan of. I just what you listed, there's only a few in there that I'm not the big. Hudsucker I think is my least favorite of theirs.
Wow, your least favorite. Interesting.
Least favorite.
Okay. Is it Jennifer Jason Leigh's put on 1940s?
Maybe I need to see it again, but I just didn't care for a lot of it.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, probably my least favorite.
I think he's the least interesting leading man they've had in any of their movies. Tim Robbins.
Okay.
I think everyone else is fascinating in their films. I think he was a bit of a misstep in terms of a miscast. And look, he plays a kind of a dumb guy who stumbles onto the hula hoop. He plays that well. I just don't see the charm that they're able to get out of their other main protagonists in their other films.
Okay.
With Hudsucker. It's still watchable, but it's mostly for Paul Newman and Jennifer Jason Leigh for me than it is for Robbins.
Yeah, I think the Newman where the double stitching is my favorite scene in it. Well, he didn't want it, and then the tailor is like, he's a good man. I like him. He buys a lot of suits for me. I'm just going to go ahead and give him the better double stitching. That's all I liked in that movie.
Fair enough.
I don't know. They don't have chemistry between the two of them. Her accent is disarming.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Tim Robbins, I don't even know if I fault him. I think the character, it doesn't work for me. I don't know.
I can understand that.
That's 3 or 4 movies, and the most of the rest I think are classics for me. So that's pretty good batting average.
Oh, hell yeah. I think they're one of the most consistent directors, solo or together, because I think The Tragedy of Macbeth was fantastic that Joel Coen directed.
Sure.
So either together or on their own, they're incredible directors. Okay, so then my number 2 is the punt from earlier from you, The Grand Budapest Hotel. I love this.
Yeah, go for it.
I love this movie, Matt. It's, we were just talking about the Coen brothers. I think Wes Anderson is in that group for me of like consistently good films. Every once in a while he has a miss, like the Darjeeling Limited, which I think was horrible, but way more often than not, I find his films so interesting and engaging, and I understand the criticism. Mostly white films. I get it, but that holds no weight for me because he is such a unique filmmaker that is telling stories from his perspective, and he rarely shies away from his perspective. And so, whatever his world is, that's what you're seeing, and I think it really works. And I really thought it worked in Grand Budapest Hotel, and I did not anticipate that it was going to be this good. I thought it was, oh, here's a cute story. But there's so much more going on, and the characters are so interesting. And Ray Fiennes, such a fascinating character in this movie.
He kills it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it was like a reminding people that this guy is a damn good actor and is able to play these less stuffier roles, even though he is playing in essence kind of a rigid guy in certain ways because he's got a code, but he's much more interesting and flexible and lenient in certain areas that you're just like, wow, this guy's kind of cool.
I wish he would do comedy more. Because we just talked about Hail Caesar.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite parts of Hail Caesar, the director that gets thrust with this actor who cannot pull off I would that it were. And he's like, you can just tell he's frustrated and he knows this guy is not right, but he has no choice because he's part of the Hollywood system.
He has to get him there.
Yeah. So he's like, okay. He is, but in Budapest, I think him, Tilda Swinton, and the kid Zero goes on to play Flash.
Yeah, Tony Revolori. Yeah. I
was gonna say Anderson is now working for me less and less.
Oh wow. Okay.
I still, what I like of his, I like a lot, but I don't. There's quite a few where I'm like, that was fine.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was eccentric for the sake of being eccentric.
You didn't like Moonrise Kingdom?
Nope, I didn't like Moonrise Kingdom.
Wow. Okay.
I didn't dislike it. I just didn't like it.
Right.
I don't think it's bad. I just thought it was like, okay.
Would you say his last best movie was Fantastic Mr. Fox?
Well, this came out after
Fantastic Mr. Fox?
No.
Oh, yes, it did.
Budapest.
It did, Budapest. So would that be? Or did
Probably,
you like Isle of Dogs?
Even Isle of Dogs, I thought was fine.
Yeah.
Budapest, I still think is like, I tune in for Rafe, kind of.
Mm-hmm.
And then Zero and Tilda. I've already forgotten the gentleman's name.
Yeah, Tony Revolori. Yeah.
There you go, Tony. But it's mainly Rafe. I think that to me is the most transfixing character in that, and I wish he was more of him.
That's fair.
As opposed to the Zero character being kind of the through line.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the choice, and who the fuck am I?
You're a critic. Wow.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm a guy that goes to see movies. I don't,
I hate to break it to you, but we've reviewed films on the show, and we've been talking about films for almost 7 years. So I kind of think it qualifies you, no matter how anti-establishment you want to be.
I'm not part. I'm just saying, I'm not part of any critics association. I've never.
So what?
I've never gone to a junket. I've never gone to a screening. I pay for the movies I go to see.
Yeah. Most critics don't go to junkets. They send their lackeys to do the junket shit.
That's fine. They still get to go to screenings and all that.
That's true. That's true. You, if you wanted to, you could shake the tree to go.
Oh, I'm sure I could, but I like going to see the movies that I want to see. I would totally do it, but then it's when you get sucked into, hey, I have to see, and then the list of I have to sees ends up being about half the slate of what you have to see over the course of a year. Yeah. No, thank you.
You're not wrong.
That's where it's like, look, if it was all fucking, bubble gum and cotton candy, man, I'm in. Who doesn't love that shit? But it's not. Yeah. As much as you're getting the unicorn, you also get the unicorn shit.
Yeah, you do get, and the occasional kick.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you're not wrong, man. I mean, I've become more selective, and it may cost me views or whatever, but I'm okay. And so for me, I'm able to pick and choose a little bit more. Like I didn't go see that Men movie, because the Alex Garland one. Because I read some reviews. I was like, oh yeah, this isn't for me. There's no fucking way I'm going to enjoy this. And I'm even less interested in the new Cronenberg film, even though I love Cronenberg. In certain films, I think he works less for me than he does work for me, less often than he does work for me. And so I was like, no, I'm not going to see this film. And 3 or 4 friends of mine who've gone to see it, who I respect, whose opinions I respect, texted me and they're like, yeah, no. So that I could, because you're right. Matt's absolutely right. Like, it becomes overwhelming how much you have to watch, because you start to lose your individuality. You're like, I'm just a machine. I have to watch all this stuff all day, then review it in order to keep access, or else they're going to take away access. So it just becomes overwhelming at times. So all these people are like, oh, it's so cool that you get to do what you're doing. Yes, it's fine. It's great. And I enjoy it for sure. But the other side of it is you're being made to watch stuff that you don't want to watch necessarily, because you have to do a review of it, or you have to talk about it, or you have to do whatever. So, I'm becoming more and more selective, because I don't feel the need to watch everything anymore, because of the overwhelming nature of it. So, I would say you, Matt, regardless of being a critic or a screening or whatever, your ability to break down a movie, I think, is undoubtable. Like, no one should be able to doubt that, because we've done that how many times,
True. But neither here nor there. Anyway.
Okay, fair enough. I know you want to keep your anti-establishment cred. I get it, dude. I get it. Mr. Cool Guy.
I think the color of my complexion makes me part of the establishment, regardless of what box I'd like to put myself in. So
that's fair. That's a good save.
As much as I'd like to be like, I'm an outsider, and be like, Ma, really? Because you probably have, open door policy on some level.
All right. So what's your one? Oh, do we both have the same one?
I would assume so. The Shining?
The Shining. Yes, absolutely.
It was the first one I thought of when we were like, hey, let's do, when Charles submitted this as an idea and was like, well, The Shining's making my list.
Yeah.
That's an easy choice. It's The Shining.
Yeah.
So what are you going to say?
We talked about it. We've talked about it many times.
Go see Room 237.
Yes, definitely.
Watched it again a couple months ago.
Oh, so good, man.
Still think it's good.
Don't mention it, because I'll pop it on right now, and I shouldn't be watching.
I heard someone slagging off on it and be like, all these crackpot theories about a movie that's just okay. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to listen to anything else you say.
You're an idiot.
Yeah. You're an idiot.
Because it's not a bunch of fucking YouTubers. These are like established people.
Even if I don't even remotely agree
yeah.
with what they're saying, they put so much thought into it that it's like, listen, I think this guy's or this gal is full of complete shit, but that's a compelling argument.
Yes.
I don't agree with, but it's still compelling.
Yeah. Yeah. The ABC News International Bureau Chief, for fuck's sakes. I mean, come on. These are not stupid people that are coming up with these theories.
And there's all kinds of little details that come up in it that I've seen that movie countless times.
Yeah.
And I never noticed, like that Jack Torrance is reading a Playgirl magazine in the lobby. I didn't know that until Room 237. And I was like, oh, fuck, is he? And then they show what you can barely see of it. And then they show you the cover. Then you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But then like the layout that doesn't make sense. And this window shouldn't exist. And the way they crop this shot and cut to this. And you're like, oh my, wow.
Dude, the Cape Canaveral shit blew my fucking mind.
Like,
what? I always thought it was a weird pattern on the rug, but it never once occurred to me that it might be an allusion to something. Yeah. And I was like, holy shit.
The lady starts trying to sell you on the Minotaurs. It's like, I don't believe any of this, but you're like, but there's like that ski poster, sure. Kind of looks like it could be. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's Native American stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. The Native American stuff is really interesting.
Yeah. I that one is one where I'm like, I could see it being a discussion about the oppression of the Native Americans and the displacement of them and everything else. Okay, sure. Yeah, it's got a lot to say and nothing at all simultaneously.
Yeah, which is what's brilliant about the film. And the performance, of course, Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, just incredible. I have yet to see the sequel. I've got to see the sequel, Dr. Sleep.
Don't build it up too much, but I think it's a solid sequel.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I've got to see it.
It's a completely separate story that ultimately, like, they get back to some sense of familiarity,
right?
But really, it's more so dealing with characters that would exist with these abilities in the real world.
Okay.
So it's like The Shining is one of a set of powers, so to speak.
Right.
Yeah. Do I think it's awesome? No, but the fact that you're even remotely going to try and do this, and I think pull off something interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, I've seen it twice. I think it's worth it.
Fair enough. Okay, let's put this list together. I don't have the bongos since I'm here in a hotel room, so I can bang on the table, but we can put the list together in the meantime.
We'll do that, and then Charles will read out your list.
Yes,
and we'll call it a day at that. So The Shining.
Yeah. Yes.
So Budapest is your 2?
Yes, it is my 2.
That's my 6, and Oceans is your what?
Oceans is my 3.
All right, so we go Grand Budapest, Oceans. We don't have anything until what? Hotel Rwanda and Lobster later on.
Is that later? Okay. Did you want to put Some Like It Hot on the list or no? Are you going to keep it off your list?
Yeah, I'll knock off Identity, and if Some Like It Hot makes it, I'll put that in the 7.
Okay.
All right. So where did you have Some Like It Hot?
I had it at 4.
All right. So why don't we do? I'll do my number 2 at Barton Fink.
Where is that, number 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'd say Some Like It Hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1408, because that's my 3.
Okay.
You have your 1 through 4, correct?
Yeah, Some Like It Hot, Ocean's 11, Grand Budapest, and Shining. Yes.
Okay. Oh shit, we both have Psycho.
Oh right, yeah, it's my 7.
All right, so we'll do Psycho there.
Okay.
My 4. Probably should go higher, but screw it. Who cares? And we have Lobster, Hotel Rwanda, and then I guess it would just be next highest at that point. You had so I'd say the Lobster next.
Yeah, where are we at with the list right now?
This is 8 and 9, so we have 1 left.
Wow. Okay. A little more commonality than I thought. All right. Yeah, so my next one is my number 5, which is One Night in Miami.
All right. I think One Night in Miami makes it.
Nice. Okay. Here we go. The top 10 movies set in a hotel. Yeah. At number 10.
Sounds good. One Night in Miami.
At number 9.
Hotel Rwanda.
At number 8.
The Lobster.
At number 7.
Psycho.
At number 6.
1408.
At number 5.
Some Like It Hot.
At number 4.
Barton Fink.
At number 3.
Ocean's 11.
At number 2.
The Grand Budapest Hotel.
And our number 1 movie set in a hotel is
The Shining.
All Work and No Play makes Jack a dull boy.
That's right.
All right, there you go. That's our top 10 movies set in a hotel. What does Charles have here?
Charles has, he says, hello, Matt and John. Is there any better feeling than laying on a nice, soft hotel bed after a long day of traveling? Is there anything worse than getting to your room and smelling or seeing something off-putting in that room? Hotels have been a great and interesting setting for movies. Here is my list. At 10, he's got The Lobster.
Okay.
9, Bad Times at the El Royale.
Oh, some people like that movie.
8 is Some Like It Hot.
Okay.
7 is Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, that almost made my... That was so close, bro. So close.
6 is 1408.
Okay.
5 is The Grand Budapest Hotel. 4 is Lost in Translation. 3 is Hotel Rwanda.
Nice.
2 is The Shining. And his number 1 movie set in a hotel is Psycho.
Ah, okay. All right. I wasn't sure I was going to make his list.
Makes sense. But great topic, Charles. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. As soon as Matt read it, I think we both knew immediately that was the one for us to do.
Yeah. We're like, there it is.
Choice.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had a few other strong competing choices.
For sure.
But even that was our number 1 of everything that the Boss Hog sent in.
Yeah.
So thank you, Charles. It was a great one. It leads to a wide array of movies and a varied discussion. So thank you, sir.
Thank you,
and if you'd like to support us and submit a topic, head over to patreon.com/the-top10 with the number 10 and hit us up over there. You can follow the show at Top 10 Show, all spelled out on Twitter, and on Instagram and YouTube, it is /the-top10 podcast with the number 10. So please hit us up. You can follow me anywhere at Matt Knows. Check out Settle the Score or if you want some NBA action, Dropping Dimes, but you can find those anywhere you get podcasts.
There you go. You can follow me at The Rocha Says on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, The Outlaw Nation on Twitch, and you can head over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/John Rocha for John Rocha Says for all the stuff going on there, including some Star Wars Celebration coverage. And my other podcast, the Cinephiles and the Geek Buddies. So thank you all so much. Y'all take care of yourselves. Be well, and we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode of the Top 10. Peace.